dress for the occasion. So this here would be a bit warm because it is quite a strenuous job. You do quite tend to get a bit of a sweat on. So I'm just going to throw on some overalls. If I was a professional shearer, I would be using double skin denim. So I'd be using a thick pair of jeans. Because shearing all day, you tend to deal with a lot of sheep that have got gorse and thistles and what do you call it, burr in Australia. So try and protect yourself as best you can from these thistles. 8 hours a day around sheep, she gets a bit harsh at times. Flip these on. I've got these other things that I like to wear. These things are called moccasins. Now we wear these for two purposes. Firstly, when you shear sheep, sheep produce a substance called lanolin. And lanolin is a natural grease that comes from the pores of its skin. And the lanolin, after you've shorn a few sheep, they tend to, the board tends to get a bit greasy. And you can't, you tend to slip over a bit. So we put these things on just to get a bit of grip on the board. And of course the other reason I like to wear these is for fashion. As you can see, they are very sexy and they make you feel a bit like Peter Pan. There we go. Right, so I'm all set. What I've got to do, let's procrastinate a bit further. Here we go. Check these things out. Blade shears. Up until about 50 or 60 years ago in New Zealand, this was the main form of shearing. There are still a couple of sheds that use these things these days, but what they used to do is grab a sheep, they'd bring it out onto the board, chop, 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 all day long. Now the average shearer was shearing between 100 and 150 odd sheep with a pair of these, okay, and that was flat out. However, there was an Australian bloke, Jackie Howe. Jackie Howe was his name. 1892, October 1892, in a place called Blackwall in Australia, Jackie Howe shore 321 sheep with a pair of blades. That is quite amazing, superhuman. In fact, the guy was a bit of a freak of nature. In fact, you want to see the right arm, he looked a bit like a lobster. But he was very, very fit. The average shearer loses as much sweat in 8 hours as a marathon runner running a full marathon. And they're doing that 7 days a week when the weather's good. Bloody hard yakka. They tend to lose a lot of fluid, hence the reason they need to do so much fluid replacement in the evening. Very important. Alright, so eventually we came up with the electric handpiece, and this thing sped things up quite dramatically. With this device, the average shearer now is shearing between 200 and 250 sheep in 8 hours, with the better ones shearing well over 300. If you're doing 300 sheep a day and you're getting paid $1.80 a sheep, you can make some pretty good money out of it. Okay, but once again, boy, she's tough on the back. In fact, they came up with this device in Australia. It's called a hammock spring. Basically, it's a big tensile spring, high tensile spring that comes down from the roof above the shearer. And it's got a little harness on the bottom here. And what they do is they go and grab a sheep, they bring it out onto the board there, step through the harness, and it holds up the lower back as they shear, right? But in New Zealand, we just call that soft. Right, we better hook up the gear. So we hook up the gear to the electricity, and this gives us our drive. Here we go. She's all ready to go. So all we've got to do now is invite our sheep out for a haircut. Come on out, girl. Come on out. As you can see, that was a bit of a failure, so I'm going to wander in and give her a bit of a persuading. So it's very easy. We've learned this trick on how to tip these big sheep over. This sheep probably weighs just as much as I do. Just notice that she might have a bit of fly load. Anyway, it's got to be done, so I'm going to tip her over. I'll turn her head around like so, whip her onto her bottom, okay, and then we drag her out. We make sure the other one doesn't escape at the same time. Here we go. Drag her on out. And look at that. She sits there quite happily, all ready to be shorn. She's been here before. In fact, she's been here every 6 months from the age of about 6 months old for a shearing. So now you're wondering, well, how old's that sheep you got there? So let's just have a look. Oh, look at that. See those big two curlies at the front there? Very young sheep, this one. Probably on the way to 3 years old. Now what happens is as sheep get a bit older, their teeth start to wear down. And it means they can't eat the grass so well anymore. Just like humans, you know, the teeth go, So what happens is when they can't eat the grass, they can't produce all the meat and the wool. So usually before they go downhill too much, we sell them as mutton. We sell them off, and quite often we'll take a whole lot of these older animals, put them onto a big boat, send them over to Australia and sell them as lamb. So I think we've got a bit of flyby going on here, folks, so be prepared. It's not going to be very nice. I might explain it to you just so you're aware of what's going to happen here. Quite often when these sheep get a bit fly blown, it's quite disgusting actually. The flies come in and they lay their eggs, and the eggs hatch into maggots very quickly, and the maggots will actually chew on the back of the sheep. So there is a chance there might be a couple of maggots, so just be prepared. It's not much, it's only a patch about this big, and the best thing I can do for her is to get the wool off, okay, because they live under the wool. When you take the wool off, they all die because they're exposed. Okay, so we're going to do her a favour. Anyway, down here I've taken the belly wool off already. The belly wool is short, it's full of gorse and thistles. So we take it off and we keep it aside from the good wool on the back of the animal. Okay, we reckon you're pretty keen to get that wool off now, aren't you? Okay? Okay, we'll get into it. So, because I've taken off that belly wool already, the first bit of wool I'm now going to remove will be from down or up the back legs here. In fact, we might just move you over, you're quite a big sheep. Right, so we're good to go. So, without further ado, we'll get into it. Okay, so the first few blows will be up the back leg here. Now, if I just pop my finger in down here, okay, you can push the leg out there. This just makes it stretch out so you can shear it. We start running our blows back down, right down the length of the animal, right to the board here. As I suspected, there's a little patch on my blow. I'll get rid of that for her. Oh, big too. Oh, it's only a little one. Fantastic. Not as bad as I thought. Okay, so just as we go down through here, I've got to be a little bit careful. I don't want to cut off anything that doesn't need to be cut off. I'll just take a little bit slow. Now the fastest shearer, he saw his sheep in around 45 seconds. But I've just slowed it down a bit to show you how it's done. Couple of blows over the tailbone. Hey, come on, Bill. Right up the backbone there. And now we're going to cover her up in case she's feeling a bit shy. There we go. Okay, up we go. Give her a bit of a haircut here. And then we start working down the side of her face. When we get to there, we're going round behind her ear. And then we go up the neck. And this is generally the hardest blow on the sheep because you can't see just what your hand's doing underneath all the wool. So you have to go and feel alone. Quite tough wool this. So we've left it a bit long. This wool should have been taken off a couple of months ago. But the nature of this place is that we have to have sheep to shear for you. So we wouldn't usually be shearing them just at the moment. I'll talk about that a little bit later with you. Okay, so we run a couple of blows down across the brisket here, right down to the belly there, then we go on to the long blow. Now this is the long blow, and this is generally where I can remove the most amount of wool in the shortest amount of time as I do nice long blows right up the length of the animal here. Feel free to take photos of my arse, everybody. It is very well photographed. Now as long as I hold her head down, it should be alright. Okay, because she's feeling a little bit sore, I'd say, with that fly load. I've just got to control her, make sure she doesn't get away. And when we get to here, we start running our blows down the other side. Down behind that ear, and then we start rolling her back so that we can get to that brisket wool, peel that off as well. Okay, running her back up. The trick to shearing is you want to be moving at all times. Okay, the more you move, the less chance there is of getting a sore back. So the good shearers, they're constantly moving all the time. A lot more than I'm possibly, but I'm still sort of and the learning stages of shearing. So when we get to here, we run our blows right down the length of the animal. Go right down the length to the bottom. Now the trick is you've got to keep it nice and tight. If you keep the skin tight, it makes it a lot easier to shear them. A lot easier. And when we get to here, you're making it difficult on yourself. Feel it nice, bit nice. There you go. Okay, so when we get to here, a couple more blows. Just to clean her up a tad. Obviously I want to get the most wool off I can, because that's where the money is, in the wool. So be careful around here, you don't want to hit a hamstring. If you cut a hamstring, it can't walk. Now you've been a little bit careful there too. When we get to here, a couple more blows over the tailbone, just to clean her up. And there you have it. Right on cue, a shorn sheep. A very strong shorn sheep. It's just older than the two-tooth, right? So it's a young animal. Got to be careful that it doesn't run away. Now, if you're not into gory sights, then avert your eyes now, because she does have a little patch of fly stripe on her bottom. I don't know if you can see that there, but the best thing we can do for that is to give her a little bit of a solution that we make up for such occasions. I'll just do that while you're there. Just spray a bit of this stuff on, and all this is it's just like a very high concentrated fly spray, and it kills that larva instantly, and within about a day it'll dry up, and we'll still be able to sell her to Australia. So, here's the wool. Check this out. Feel free to take a photo. $5. Oh, there you go. So, here's the wool. I'm going to throw it out here. So you can see there's quite a bit of wool there. Yeah, not great quality though. It's got a little bit yellow in there, which is the lanolin effect. When the wool gets a bit longer, when it rains, water tends to get in and it discolours the wool. Sometimes you can't actually wash that yellow colour out, so it makes it a little bit sort of low quality, I suppose. Now, a couple of things. Firstly, when we get to this point of the show, quite often people are just wondering, well, now you've taken off your lovely coat, won't you get cold? Well, no, sheep produce a substance called lanolin. You see it on my hands there? It's very greasy. Right, that lanolin stuff, very good for keeping sheep insulated against the cold. And believe it or not, it's not actually that cold here yet. Once we get a few good frosts, she gets freezing. Okay? So the sheep will be fine. All those ones I showed you earlier have been shorn in the last couple of days and they're happy as. Now the other question I always get, how do sheep feel when you're shearing them? How the hell would I know? So I got a bit interested, so I went home and looked it up on the internet. And you wouldn't believe it. They've just finished a study in Australia to find out the temperament of sheep after shearing, and they found they had a slight change of expression on their face. And from this they could gather they had a more positive outlook on life. So there you go, they love it. As you can see, I am full of knowledge. So if you've got any questions, feel free to come up and have a bit of yarn after the show. Feel free to wander into the gift shop through there. Got a whole lot of products in there. Actually, that's another thing. Do you know that we're what you call a primary producer? So we take the wool off the animal, we put it into a bale, we send it off and we get paid. It's quite simple, really, primary, right? Secondary production tends to happen a lot in China because we can get it done a little bit cheaper than what we can do it in our own country, right? So quite often all this wool gets processed into all these amazing products, and they eventually find their way back to New Zealand and end up in the Walden Peak gift shop. And obviously we get a lot of Chinese people come to the show as well. They like to wander around, have a bit of a look in the gift shop as well, quite often purchase these gifts and take them back to China again. So it works well for everyone. Very good. We thank you for that. Yeah. Now, as you're wandering around, you'll hear a big toot from the boat very shortly. Sometimes they get a bit of an angry toot on at this time of night. Don't worry about it, okay? They can't go anywhere until the restaurant staff come down. But if anyone does miss the boat, my room goes for $5.50 a night. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.